Sienna Holloway, 45, a skillful architect, once believed her life with husband Grant Holloway and daughter Mia Holloway, aged 15, was idyllic. Trust seemed unbreakable, love sacred. She realized her mistake when Mia revealed her father's betrayal. Grant had vanished with his lover Olivia Langston, a charming widow known for shadowy real estate deals, misappropriating their daughter's trust fund. It was 2 days later when Grant's voice cracked over the phone, pleading, "Sienna, please." She coldly sipped her coffee, unmoved. The discovery began in Sienna's home office, a message from Mia urging her to check the computer. Trembling, she clicked on a file displaying her husband in a dim restaurant with Olivia. More files followed, emails, bank statements, all revealing Grant's deceit. The betrayal cut deep. He hadn't just cheated. He funded his lavish life with Olivia using Mia's future. Fury simmered within Sienna. As she processed the betrayal, Mia stood in the doorway, calm and determined. "You saw it," she stated. For 3 months, Mia had gathered evidence, watching her father grow careless. She noticed discrepancies in her account, saw his messages to Olivia. He underestimated her resolve. Mia had even placed a camera in his study, capturing damning conversations. Together, mother and daughter planned their response. Sienna's resolve hardened. They wouldn't just expose him, they'd ruin him. The carefully constructed facade continued. She kissed Grant, maintained the illusion. Meanwhile, plans with Daniel Carter, her best friend and a brilliant lawyer, were set in motion. Sienna detailed the affair and theft, asking for help. Daniel's eyes lit with determination. Sienna knew the path ahead wasn't just about justice, it was personal. Mia, beside her, bore the resolve to see it through, and together, step by step, they orchestrated Grant's downfall, ensuring the safety of Mia's future. Financial misconduct is officially recorded, rendering it unchangeable once the judgment is made. As Danielle navigated the legal turmoil, Mia managed the virtual confrontation. She broke into his monetary archives, unearthing the concealed accounts overseas. "Mom," she pronounced calmly, "he has another account set up in the Cayman Islands. Money has been siphoned there for months now. Can you intervene?" Mia typed swiftly. "Observe me. It's finished." Over the subsequent week, I observed Grant meticulously. I learned his schedule, allowing him to feel secure at night. His whispers with Olivia over the phone were telling. He craftily crafted their future. His self-confidence was palpable. He thought triumph was his. Unbeknownst to him, our snare awaited. One dinner evening, I sat across Grant, sipping wine while he fixated on his phone, oblivious. Mia, calm beside me, was texting discreetly. She signaled silently. It was concluded. The plan was in place. Patience remained our ally. 2 days onward, a furious call came from Grant. Mia grinned as I enjoyed another sip of wine. The game is done. Watching someone architect their demise carries an unparalleled satisfaction. Grant's arrogance, overconfidence in manipulation and deceit, in controlling narratives remained unchanged. He was certain of his invulnerability, not expecting us to unravel his fabricated truths. How mistaken he was. And on this day, exposure was imminent. Mia, stationed at the kitchen table, her laptop aglow, her fingers nimble above the keys. Her demeanor placid, almost indifferent, but internally, a calculated storm brewed. "Ready," she confirmed, eyes on me. I glanced at the digital arsenal. Photos, documents, communication threads, all curated, timed with precision, on the brink of release. "You're positive it can't be traced back?" I queried. Mia chuckled. "Come now, Mom. The metadata path is through multiple dummy accounts. This will appear as an anonymous disclosure." Her smile widened. The anticipation of a scandal on the internet is palpable. Her decisive tap sent the exposé live. In moments, Grant's flawlessly crafted image began to crumble. The uproar was instantaneous. Social media buzzed incessantly. Comments accelerated beyond comprehension. This individual swindled his own daughter's savings for a side accomplice. Olivia Langston, the affluent spouse who remained unfaithful? Undeniable embezzlement. Federal notification seemed inevitable. Media institutions reported promptly. Society tagged Grant's professional network. Inquiries erupted. Reputations dangled precariously. Mia administered the final blow. Damian Langston, an entity bolstered by authority and reputation, wasn't merely Olivia's spouse. Within the corporate sphere, his influence resonated profoundly. Upon receiving Mia's dossier, detailing betrayal, illicit finances, offshore diversions, he didn't just respond. He detonated. When Grant trudged into his workplace, his phone incessantly clamored. The unfolding drama eluded him until Damian Langston's fierce entrance. Security cameras captured Damian Storm, his visage steeled with cold wrath, tossing files before Grant. "I want a divorce," Damian declared, ice in his tone. Grant faltered, briefly glancing at the documents. "So, it's true, you're the snake here?" Damian interjected sharply. "Not even Olivia's indiscretion startled me like your audacity," he continued, disdain evident. "To defraud your child, how do you expect support after this?" As Grant fumbled for his phone, Damian's decisive slam onto the desk silenced him. Damian expounded further, detailing every financial move, every hidden account. "You and Olivia attempted sequestration. Now be assured, you both face the inferno I've ignited." As he departed, he added indifferently, "Catch up on current events, won't you?" Once Damian exited, Grant's empire lay crumbled. As the plethora of calls from business allies, financiers, and legal advocates flooded in, realization dawned. His reign had concluded, inciting sheer panic. While public scrutiny unraveled Grant, my deeper investigation persisted. Positioned at Robert Mason's office, our private investigator, I delved into compiled financial documentation. "Your husband's imprudence is palpable," Robert remarked, pinpointing specific data. I nodded, but he pressed on. Severely dim-witted. Sliding the evidence toward me. "He didn't stop at your daughter's fund misappropriation. He's clandestinely rerouted funds through his enterprise." My disbelief apparent. "Classical corporate deception," Robert elaborated, detailing strategic fund transfers masked by faux business entities. "Woefully executed," he noted smugly. I gathered myself. "What's our proof?" I inquired. Robert met my look. "Proof is our arsenal." Rapid legal action ensued, orchestrated by Danielle. Within hours, a lawsuit immobilized all of Grant's finances. He was effectively incapacitated financially. The climax? Upon corporate discovery of his internal theft, severance was inevitable. Grant Holloway was on the brink of destruction. Sitting in his office, desperately typing, he attempted to transfer the last remnants of his stolen assets from his Cayman Islands account. But every transaction he initiated failed, his panic rising with each rejection. He seized his phone and called his banker, demanding answers. A chilling reply confirmed his worst fears. His accounts were under investigation for suspicious activities, with the FBI implicated and all transactions frozen. Suddenly, he watched in horror as his account balance dwindled rapidly. $500,000 vanished, followed by $1 million, then $3 million. A notification soon made it clear. The funds were routed to a government account for fraud investigation. Across town, Mia leaned back and smiled at Grant's orchestrated downfall, realizing this wasn't mere misfortune. This was calculated ruin. I was standing in my kitchen when Grant's call came through. I answered with feigned surprise, feigning innocence, all while Grant's voice quivered on the verge of breakdown. "You did this, didn't you?" he accused, unable to hide his desperation. I smiled wide, signaling the final act of Grant Holloway's downfall. With his financial support gone, all that was left was to let him tear himself apart alongside Olivia. The next domino toppled with Grant entering a room full of partners, immediately sensing their betrayal. Nathan Bishop, his oldest investor known for his integrity, tossed incriminating documents onto the table, detailing every illegal transaction and fraudulent scheme meticulously pieced together by Mia. Despite Grant's desperate claims of innocence, the walls of his corporate empire were closing in, with partners threatening to pull their support unless he rectified the scandal immediately, but there was nothing left to fix. Later that evening, I met Damian Langston, embroiled by his own betrayal from Grant and Olivia. Seeing Damian at a private club, he admitted Olivia was already planning her exit. Grant's collapse became imminent as the raid ensued with federal agents seizing company records. Grant could do nothing as he watched his empire crumble, the government verifying accusations of fraud and embezzlement initiated long ago. Grant's hands shook as he faced his assistant, complexion drained of color. "Get my lawyer," he instructed. The agent gave a smug reply. "I've already done that. Your legal team is in the lobby, but their loyalty seems to be wavering." With that revelation, Grant realized his isolation. By midday, Olivia had vanished, not waiting for the aftermath. She had been secretly stashing funds for months, and the moment she noticed Grant's decline, she took everything she could and disappeared. When Grant returned to the penthouse that evening, he discovered his luggage packed by the door. "What's happening?" he demanded. Olivia emerged from the bedroom, arms crossed, declaring, "I'm leaving, Grant." "No," he growled. "You're not." Olivia chuckled softly. "Oh, darling, I already have." Grant's face contorted with disbelief. "You can't just leave like that." She interrupted. "I can and I will." Stepping closer, she lowered her voice. "It's over, Grant. No money, no company, no power. You're not someone worth staying for anymore." Her smile was sharp, unsympathetic. Grant clenched his fists. "You exploited me." She smiled wider. "I learned from the best." With that, she left without another word. Grant remained in the desolate apartment, his world shattered, eventually letting out a scream. By the week's end, Grant was utterly bankrupt, with investors withdrawing, accounts frozen, and assets seized. His companies severed ties with him, and his board of directors publicly distanced themselves. Media outlets were relentless, covering his scandal, infidelities, illegal acts, and his relationship with Olivia. She had vanished, leaving him to endure the consequences alone. Everything Grant had built with deceit was lost, and he had no one to hold accountable but himself. I was sipping wine on my balcony when my phone rang. It was Grant. I nearly ignored it, but decided to indulge in his downfall. I answered lightly, "Hello, Grant." Only ragged breathing was heard on the other line. "Sienna," he begged, "please." Not an accusation, but a plea. I closed my eyes, feeling satisfaction. "Goodbye, Grant," and disconnected. Mia came outside, smirking. That was him, wasn't it? I smiled, raising my glass. "It's over." Mia tapped her glass to mine. To perfect revenge. I gazed across the city, feeling a newfound freedom, knowing Grant Holloway was a thing of the past. Revenge was about redefining his reputation, ensuring the world knew his true nature. And today they would. I stood at the podium, the media frenzy surrounding me, the bright lights of the press conference glaring, cameras capturing every moment. Behind me, a screen displayed evidence of every fraudulent act, every stolen dollar, every lie. Transactions with Olivia, offshore accounts, fabricated investments. It was all laid bare. For years, Grant Holloway thrived on deceit, I declared. He wronged his own company, his investors, and worst of all, I paused. He stole from his own daughter. The room gasped. His former business associates, now furious, were amongst the crowd. Reporters clamored for answers, asking if I knew of his actions prior, if I'd testify, and the extent of his theft. I directed their attention to the screen. The facts are here. I have nothing else to add, but I'm certain the authorities will. Right on cue, the doors swung open, FBI entering. Across town, Grant was deep in whiskey when there was a loud knock. When he answered, agents were there, flashing badges. "Grant Holloway, you're under arrest for financial fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion." Panic swept Grant's face. "Wait, there's a mistake." The cuffs clicked on his wrists. Olivia wasn't there to save him, nor his partners to rescue him. Alone, he was taken through the doorway, media documenting his disgrace, a mighty man brought low. Olivia Langston thrived by manipulating powerful men, but fortune is fleeting. Once her ties to the scandal were publicized, her world crumbled. Business alliances dissolved, investors retreated. Within a single day, her name was tarnished beyond repair. She sought out old contacts, but met silence. Tried to influence the media narrative, yet no one listened. She reached out to Grant, but he ignored her calls. For she abandoned him first, and now he did the same to her. I found Mia at her laptop, calmly erasing traces, the screen casting a glow on her face. "Finished?" I inquired. Without looking away, she replied, "Completely, files, digital footprints, all gone." If Grant ever tries to piece together what happened, she assured me, he won't find a trace. Watching my brilliant, ruthless daughter, I swelled with pride. She was my child and my greatest ally. The room was eerily quiet when Grant was ushered in. His previously immaculate attire was crumpled, hair untidy, and his face etched with weariness. He appeared like a man who had lost it all. For the first time ever, his eyes met mine. Grant Holloway seemed diminished. The judge recited the allegations: corporate fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion. His defense tried to mitigate the situation, but the evidence was undeniable. That's when he addressed me. 22, Sienna, 22. His voice was shaky. He was pleading, desperate for compassion. Silently, I walked past him. I said nothing, just exited the courtroom. Olivia avoided the trial entirely. She was occupied with survival, but there was no one left to aid her. Shunned from the corporate world, her belongings confiscated, her finances depleted, she sought Grant in a last attempt. She constantly called, repeatedly left voicemails. There was no response. Her betrayal of him had burned their bridges beyond repair. The empire she constructed crumbled completely. For the first time ever, Olivia Langston was truly isolated. Before this, Damian Langston finalized his divorce. Olivia, having signed a well-structured prenup, walked away with nothing. Everything she laid claim to, all that she attempted to seize from me, vanished. Confronted with the divorce papers, she inevitably signed, acknowledging her defeat. She was alone, penniless, and in ruin. That night, I stood on my balcony, overlooking the city. It was over. The one who had deceived me was imprisoned. The one who tried to take my world was now just a memory. My daughter? Free. Maya joined me, arms folded. 22. What 27's next? 22, she inquired. Exhaling contentedly, I responded, 22 now, we build, 22 knowing that our battle wasn't 27T just a victory, it was survival. For the first time in a long while I felt liberated. I used to think revenge marked the tale's conclusion, that once justice prevailed and the disloyal were subdued by their own wrongdoing, silence was all that remained. Wrong I was, for life moves on, and so did I. Several years post-Grant Holloway 27's removal from my life, I stood inside the radiant corridors of Holloway and Carter Architects, my pride, crafted from past remnants. Running my fingers across the elegant desk, I surveyed the city's skyline before me, a skyline I now reconstructed. I devoted years to creating edifices for individuals like Grant, wealthy businessmen who fancied themselves deities. Now I built something of significance for my legacy. For myself, Maya, working from a distance, had become my greatest creation. At just 17, she managed elite cybersecurity, guarding against individuals resembling her father. She queried, 22 thinking of him. 22 with a playful tilt of my head, I replied, 22 me? Never. 22 and laughed at a man named Grant Holloway, who had become inconsequential. Behind prison walls, Grant sat as just another inmate, stripped of power, riches, and recognition. His innocence was proclaimed. He petitioned for clemency, attempting manipulation as an escape, but it was to no avail. Former investors, associates, and friends who idolized him turned away. His sentence was long. Likely when released, the world would forget him entirely. Olivia, on the other hand, had engulfed herself in nothingness. There were fruitless attempts at reformation, changing cities and names, yet her efforts were futile. Nobody employed or trusted her. Everywhere she sought, she was met with closed opportunities, no investors, no companions, no future. She existed in an anonymous city, earning scraps. Once adorned in luxuries, now she scraped by. It was poetic justice. One afternoon, Mia passed her phone to me with a smug grin. 22, check this. 22, she said. The article headline read, 22X, business tycoon Grant Holloway denied parole. To complete full sentence. 22, it settled like finality. The past was behind. I deleted it with resolution. 22 at 27's done. 22, I affirmed to Mia, who understood. No more retrospection, ghosts, or shadows. Evening came, and we stood upon our new headquarters' 27 balcony, watching over the city. 2 years passed. From another vantage, we brooded over betrayal. Now we were emancipated. 22, we achieved it. 22, Mia whispered, leaning into the railing. I confirmed that truth. 22, we did. 22, her knowing smile flashed back, akin to that spark 2 years prior, when we reclaimed our world. 22, the best part. 22, she probed. Already aware, I grinned, savoring my drink. 22, we evaded capture. 22, and onward, we moved past. The chapter of the Holloway women concluded. Our tale was finished. Share your reflections below. Thank you for your time.